What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Highlander here, and welcome to a discussion video. We've done a couple of these on the channel beforehand, but today is a very special video, and I will tell you why. Because we are joined today by my very, very, very good friend, an awesome guy, InVividColor. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's really good, YouTube? I'm InVividColor, and I'm here today with Highlander, and we, as far as I know, we're going to be discussing the Nintendo Switch and the potential of Pokemon Stars to be on the Nintendo Switch.
That is correct, Vivid. We are going to be doing a discussion video of the all the information that we kind of have on the rumored game, I should say, Pokemon Stars.
Right.
And I thought it would be fun to do a discussion video with someone else on YouTube, with who's involved with the Pokemon scene, and you guys as the viewers are more than welcome to jump in and leave your thoughts as well at the end of the video, kind of explaining what you think might happen. But I have a couple of points here up on my screen that I kind of wanted to talk about first, so I guess without further ado we'll just jump straight into this. So first of all, I guess I should kind of ask you, Vivid, do you think that Pokemon Stars is even real? Because it hasn't even really been confirmed yet.
So, first point that I want to make is I've never done one of these videos, and having someone call me Vivid is really great. So that has nothing to do with this, but just hearing someone say like, yeah, Vivid, because that's what all my video game names are. So it's like, wow, someone's actually calling me this in real life.
I know, it's crazy.
Anyways, Mr. Highlander.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do think it's going to be real, and the main reason I think it's going to be real is because we haven't seen an actual third game in a Pokemon series since Platinum, right?
Yeah.
Because after that it was Black 2, White 2, and then nothing. There was never a game after the main sequel, or not sequel, but after the main series. And I think that's something that they are kind of going to go back to. They deviated from pretty much everything that we know of, not everything, but a lot of the core concepts we know about in Pokemon games in Sun and Moon. But I think this is one of the things that they're going to kind of bring back, especially since it being this is the 20th anniversary year of Pokemon. So it would make sense for them to have a little bit of a callback, and they keep referencing Kanto. So I'm thinking there's a lot of sort of nostalgia in these games, even though they're so innovative.
No,
so I absolutely think it's going to be real.
Yeah, and I agree with you as well, because there's a lot of stuff, there's a huge things have been going on with Pokemon lately, like you said, the 20th anniversary, and they've been changing up a lot of things, especially just even starting X and Y, the whole scene just completely changed when they switched to 3D graphics, and with taking a lot of advantage over the 3DS hardware, which is really interesting to see now.
Absolutely.
And I also wanted to say, I do believe it's real as well, because I agreed with Vivid here. But the reason I think it's real is because all the sources and all the information that we received is actually very, very believable, and it's from kind of credible sources, which we'll talk about a little bit later here in the video. But which kind of makes me want to believe in it, but with all rumors and stuff like that, you should not take it to heart until there's actual confirmed information. So,
correct. Yeah. I also, just as a quick side note,
I
want to go ahead and say that when I was talking with just some of my friends that play Pokemon about what a potential third game could be, I was just what if it's something stupid, instead of Sun 2, Moon 2, it's Lunar Eclipse and Solar Eclipse.
Yeah.
So I think there's some missed design space here and not using the word eclipse somewhere, but Stars is fine. I just wanted to throw that out there. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
All right, no worries. All right, so first, let's talk about a little bit of the article first that Eurogamer released, because of course Eurogamer was the first article that kind of came out on this subject regarding the third Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch. And a couple of things that it mentions here in the article is the fact that it would be reusing a lot of the same, what's the word for it? Assets that Sun and Moon used, but just kind of upscaling it to be 720p or 1080p or whatever the Switch is going to play as. And that we would be having the same map, but we would also have, different Pokemon that would be available, and that in the very first release trailer of Sun and Moon, or the announcement trailer, they showed that screenshot of a Pikipek on the screen. And that's actually supposedly a HD game model for the Switch edition. And not only that, I'm sorry, this is a lot of information, but like not only that, they also said that they've been working alongside. They've been working on the Switch version of like those games alongside of Sun and Moon for the 3DS, and had to pause work on the Switch version in order to finish Sun and Moon to get that ready for the release date that they had set. So I guess what are your opinions on like if they were making or reusing the same assets, and the fact that that screenshot in the very announcement trailer might have been an HD model? Like what do you think about that?
Right. Okay, so to sort of preface my responses from here forward, I want to go ahead and say that Highlander is the one who has done all of his homework, and I'm kind of like I know I have a working knowledge of sort of the rumors, and I actually I navigated to this Eurogame article currently, and I think that that just looking at this image, like the image that's supposed to be an HD model, mm-hmm. I think that it seems very reasonable. I think that if they did use a lot of the same assets, they'd have to upscale a lot of things. Like I think the game would need to work on like a different engine essentially. Yeah. Because I think the engine for the 3D, like whatever I see, this is something like I'm not like a what am I looking for here? Like a gearhead. I don't know a lot of like the technical aspects of things. Like I can break down the math in the game. Yeah. That's fine. But like when we start talking about like what engine a game is running on, I'm like, well, and I'm a video game design teacher, so this is a bad look for me, but yeah.
Well, but, I just think it's interesting. So, like, you think it'll probably have to be like done on a separate engine, right? Then.
Yeah, I think that it would have to be, and I think the graphics would have to be like there would need to be sort of a major overhaul, because if you take essentially like this game's beautiful compared to what we had in X and Y, right? No doubt. X and Y and Oris were great looking, but this game's beautiful to be on the 3DS and to be running on the same system. If you take this game and you put it on Nintendo's like quote unquote like next gen like fusion console, mm-hmm. and then it looks the same as it does on the 3DS, like it's going to be a laughing stock. It's not going to be a real thing.
Yeah, it would look terrible. But I do want to raise the point. I do want to raise the point though that I don't know if you've heard of this, but do you know what the 3DS emulators, the Citra? Do you know what that is?
Absolutely not. No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So essentially, Citra have been working on a 3DS emulator for a couple of years now, and they're actually starting to get a lot of ground covered just in this recent months, and they're almost having a lot of games like running at full speed. Now, what's interesting about this is that I've seen a lot of footage of people playing Sun and Moon on stuff like this, and I guess the emulator itself actually upscales the graphics to be at 1080p from the internal graphics assets that it has on the 3DS. And I actually want to say that, looking at the 1080p upscaling of the 3DS graphics, it's actually quite noticeable, and it's kind of insane. Now,
really? That sounds like it's blowing my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy. You should definitely go check it out when you have some free time, because there are people who do Wi-Fi battles and then replay the Wi-Fi battle through the emulator and show off how it looks, because at full speed, and it's crazy. Now, for you guys out there, if you guys haven't seen that, I would advise checking it out just so you guys kind of have a reference point of what I'm talking about. But so I don't know if they would have to necessarily rebuild or make a separate engine, but what I do have to agree that they're gonna have to make some pretty significant changes according to how the game probably runs, because just of the hardware differences, between the Switch and the 3DS is going to be, clearly there's going to be some differences there. And not only that, I don't know if the Switch has two screens, so everything would have to be on one screen. And
well, I mean, the sort of that was another point I was going to make, sort of I don't want to call it an aesthetic thing, because it's essentially how the game functions. But since Pokemon has come to the 3DS, or sorry, just the DS, we've been kind of spoiled with having a bottom menu. So because in battle, you don't have to, you don't have to leave the battle screen at all to do to mess with menus or to navigate things,
and everything. Really great. It's very cinematic up at the top.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's I'm curious about how they will handle it, and I would love to see any screenshot, of course, but this has
right. One of the control. Sorry.
No, go for it.
But one of the controllers that was. Now, am I wrong here? Hold on. Let me pull up a picture so I don't sound like an idiot. One of the controllers. No, never mind. I'm thinking of like the portable version, because the portable version of the Switch is where you take the two little sort of like divots and you hook it onto a screen that pops out.
They're like mini Wiimotes almost.
Okay, so I was gonna say, like, is that thing a touchscreen? Because if you could use that to control, then it could be like that thing could be like your Wii pad or whatever, like your Wii U pad for your Wii. But I don't think that, just by looking at pictures, I don't think that thing like controls the game when you're playing it on the TV.
No, it's like you stick it in a slot and then like it transfers. Okay. At least from what I've seen.
Like that could be your bottom screen, but yeah, I think that there would need to be like. I don't want to say that like I'm so spoiled that I don't want to go back to having to like navigate through menus while in the middle of a battle if I just want to use a potion. But
no, it's understandable, because we've been doing this for so long now. It's kind of reverting back to almost like third generation, back when they did that last time, and so it's interesting. But all right, so next thing I kind of want to talk about is what kind of changes we might see coming up in this, in Pokemon Stars compared to Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, I have a couple of ideas here I just want to throw out, and the first one is the fact that this might, this is the third version of the series. It's supposed to be anyway, and what I'm throwing out is that it might actually be a sequel to Sun and Moon, more so than like a combined version of both Sun and Moon together.
Yeah, I would honestly hope so. I think that the sort of the ones that have been sequels, like not just like a combined version, and so the ones that have been sequels after the main series games, I think have just been better in general. Like I don't think like Pokemon Yellow and Crystal weren't sequels, right? They took place like concurrently. They just had like slightly altered storylines. And then I think I don't know if I've ever like fully played through Emerald, honestly. Like I think it was also similar, but then. And also Platinum too, right? Like we didn't really start getting sequels until Black 2, White 2, right?
Yeah.
Was that the first one?
Yeah, that's the first ones in the.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I would hope that it would be a sequel, just because I would like to. I haven't even like, and this is like breaking the fourth wall for anyone watching my Let's Play. Like I have not beaten these games at all yet. Like I have not beat a personal cartridge or the cartridge that I'm recording. I just have not. But.
Okay. So I'll try to keep spoilers down for you. So
no. I'm super spoiled at this point. Like,
okay,
you can say whatever you want. Like, I mean, I watch other I watch like your videos. I watch some of the bigger PokeTubers videos.
Yeah.
So I know what's going on. It's just that there's kind of a lot left open at the end that I think that a sequel would benefit it more than just like a sort of like a rehash or a reskin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so too. And I think more for like the benefits of having a sequel would be, because when we played through Sun and Moon initially, it was more of like we see the region as it's being built essentially, because they're working on building the Pokemon League, and you have the Aether Foundation and Team Skull, and a lot of things are happening that's kind of forming the region as we play, which I think is super interesting. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out for possibility of the sequel is the fact that once the Pokemon League has been established, Kukui starts talking about how he's working on wanting to become like how Kanto runs their system, because he wants a champion that people can be proud of from the Alola region and stuff like that. What's interesting is that there's a lot of cities throughout the game that has an empty spot that has construction being worked on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that that's a really good point to be made, honestly, and something that just didn't pop to my mind at when you first mentioned this. But there is a lot of construction going on, and there's like Machamps everywhere moving things around, and or maybe I don't know. That's at least in Hollow City. I don't know if I've seen that anywhere else in the game. I'm not, like I said, I haven't beat this game.
Well, there's a couple of Machamps where the free-for-all battles are and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's a really good point. And that this whole region is being established as somewhere where you can have a competitive Pokemon scene, I guess. And that's a very good point.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking here is the fact, because my older brother actually mentioned this to me first, but because of where these construction slots are located, because there's some specific ones that look like they're just a square, and they're part of the city, and they have some construction being worked in the middle. Conveniently, there are 8 of them throughout the game, and a lot of people, including my older brother, are thinking that if in Pokemon Stars we might actually have gyms instead of the trial captains in the game. And like, what would you think about like them adding back gyms instead of having the trial captains like we did before in the originals?
So that's that's super interesting, but I would hope that if they do that, there's still also some call out to the trial captains, because that's one of the things that I honestly loved about this generation, is that we didn't have to, go around and collect 8 badges. I thought that was really interesting. They've used the same formula sort of forever, so I thought it was really great to break away from that. But if there's 8 of them, it seems kind of inevitable that there would be 8 gyms,
And like, it seems kind of fishy, but like, I have to agree with you. I really like the way they structured this game, because it was so like, it was so refreshing to have like a different like taste of breath air, or fresh air. Oh my goodness.
Breath air.
Of fresh air, coming in, being like, oh, you're not collecting badges, and this game focuses more on like you exploring all the islands, and while you're exploring, hey, now you're gonna take on this trial captain, where you basically have to. You're not fighting them. You're watching, a bunch of Marowak dance with a hiker that shows up.
Yeah, and there's also like the totem Pokemon thing is incredible to me. Like, like the first time I fought this totem Wishy-Washy, and then it called in an Olomomola, I was just like, well, we messed up.
Yeah.
It's really like those battles can actually be relatively hard.
Oh, they're brutal.
Yeah, in the episode where I fought the what is this thing called, a Salazzle, and that thing one-shots everything at that point in the game, and I think that's a really cool feature, and I would hope that if there are gyms, that there's like at least some call out to that,
So that was something that's really interesting. Now another thing, moving on, of course.
Yeah. For sure.
Another thing I kind of, I was kind of interested in is the fact that, we have Marshadow, right, as another legendary in the game. And a possibility that, Marshadow might be, I guess the cover legendary of Pokemon Stars.
So do you think it would be Marshadow, or do you think it would be, I'm going to butcher this name, Necrozma? I'm not entirely sure.
I haven't seen, in my, I guess my personal copy, or not my personal copy, but my,
sure.
Because I'm finished with my Let's Play now. So
Absolutely.
I'm going through and catching the Ultra Beasts, and I haven't really looked, I still don't know who all the Ultra Beasts are, which is really bad, but I've heard some things about Necrozma not really like being known if they should classify it as an Ultra Beast or if it's a legendary, so I'm not 100% sure on that front, like what's going on.
Okay.
But, I don't know, like, it could be Necrozma, if they're going to decide to have a different, cover Pokemon, like they did with, classic third Pokemon games, like they did, Rayquaza and Emerald, Giratina and Platinum, Suicune in Crystal.
Right. The only reason that I even, like, mention that as potentially the cover Pokemon is that I don't think, and I mean, this could also be something where they're trying to mix up the formula a bit.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a game that we've had where the sort of like the third cover Pokemon or the third legendary, the legendary that completes a trio, What's going on? Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought that music was playing from your end. I opened something and there's just like a bunch of really random music. Don't open Wikipedia pages while recording these videos.
Oh, you're good. I just thought you got disconnected. I was like, what's going on?
No, I started freaking out. I was like, what's going on? Okay, anyways, sorry. I don't think there's ever been a third game where the Pokemon hasn't been sort of available to be caught inside that game, because Marshadow is not in this game. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it is
anywhere
either.
To catch it. Yeah. But Necrozma is, or Necrozma, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that that to me is the only reason where I would think that would be sort of like, unless they introduce something entirely new, I think that for me, that's what it would be. Or that's what I would guess.
Or, they could throw us for a loop and make a Zygarde.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, now Zygarde's complete form can be caught.
Yeah. Even
though the only thing they did was add points to its HP, essentially.
Yeah, that'd be crazy and hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, it'd be funny.
Let's see. I don't know. Other changes, I guess, maybe like they would add, like they mentioned in the article, like new Pokemon are available for catch. Because, interestingly enough, right now in Sun and Moon, the National Dex is not available, And
oh, yeah, absolutely. I hadn't even thought about that.
And, it won't be until probably, I don't know, but like, because Pokebank doesn't become available for Sun and Moon until next month. and I'm assuming then we're gonna get an update in the game, and like Kukui's gonna be like, oh, look at this, I made you National Dex or something stupid like that. But maybe the Alolan Dex will be different, but that's not too out of that's kind of to be expected from a new game coming through, I would say, at least.
Yeah, for sure. Something, and this is like something entirely sort of like, I know you're the one with the bullet points, but something I've been sort of like wanting since X and Y is, X and Y was the first generation release where they had sort of the option to patch the game regularly, right? Like, I don't think that was a thing in Diamond and Pearl and Black and White.
Yeah, no, like, you couldn't download patches and stuff.
Right. So what I've been like wondering is why have like, I mean, and I think it's something that could potentially, like, if it were to happen, I don't think it would happen until Stars, but what do you think about the concept, like the idea of having a patch downloaded where now like you have more in the game, like now there's more Pokemon to catch, like, oh, this new Alolan form has been discovered, oh, you can travel to Kanto, just like anything, like, I mean, traveling to Kanto is sort of a huge update.
Do you mean more like DLC or like just miniature updates throughout the game?
Correct. Yeah, I'm sorry, like DLC essentially, like DLC for the game.
So I'm kind of torn on the fact, like, with DLC, because I think that if you're gonna have DLC, just on a personal standpoint, I think it should just be kind of like extra stuff, unless it's like cosmetics or something like that, unless it's been a couple of years in the game or whatever, and they're like, oh, here's a huge amount of stuff, like, unless it's like really jam-packed with things, I don't think DLC should be. Because I don't want to have to pay for, like, oh, now you can pay and you can catch as a Alola form. I don't want it to go down that way, and I'm afraid that would happen because of just how some companies handle DLC.
Right. I mean, I didn't think of it that way. I guess when I'm thinking of this like idealistic world where suddenly like, oh, now here's like 10 Alolan forms from Johto or something.
But what's interesting with the point you bring up is the fact that they could do seasonal things with the games.
Correct.
So being like, oh, now that it is August or autumn or whatever, these have now become available in these certain areas that weren't available before, which I think
that would be really cool.
I think it'd be added like an interesting like detail to filling up the decks, because it's kind of like, I guess kind of like Pokemon Go in a sense, where you have like continent exclusive Pokemon. And
yeah, that's immediate logo what I thought about, like kind of like sort of coinciding with how Pokemon Go releases, like ups the catch rate of things seasonally, or like has different Pokemon that are available, like more available or more accessible in other regions. But yeah, that makes sense.
No, and with DLC, I honestly, if they were like, because I'm gonna say this too, I made a top 5 like little, this is what I want for Sun and Moon before the games came out, and I talked about how since second gen has released, there's not been a single game that's revisited an older or like another region.
Exactly.
And like that frustrates me to no end, because I loved going back to Kanto in Heart Soul Silver or Gold and Silver in the originals.
Right.
And the amount of like how they talk about Kanto, a crap ton in Sun and Moon. Granted, I would love if we could go back to Kalos in Stars, because that'd be sick. But if we went back to Kanto, I'd be okay with that too, because of the fact that now, looking at it, Fire Red and Leaf Green are technically the oldest games that like are the only Pokemon games that are not available for the DS or 3DS.
Okay.
So if they wanted to kind of remake, I guess, Kanto, I think Stars, I guess, for like maybe DLC or like adding into the game, since they mention it a lot in the game, might be a good idea, but I feel like that might be a stretch. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a big stretch, but it's referenced so much, and like we in the game, you have Red and Blue, and there's also sort of I don't remember whose series I was watching that I saw this, but at the end of the game, Hal asks your mom in game if Kanto is close, and she's just like, yeah, we can visit there whenever we want.
Yeah.
I guess I probably should have said like spoiler alert before that, but I feel like at this point we're so far into talking about what has happened.
It's been like a month since the game came out. I don't think we have to worry about spoiler warnings anymore, but
all right. That's fair.
No, but and not only that, like your character also, came from Kanto, which is, super
right, exactly.
And cool. Another thing though with the 3DS and the Switch, like hardware wise, it says in the article that Pokebank and like 3DS connectivity with the Switch would be available, and that you can connect your 3DS to the Switch and vice versa. And so like that makes me kind of wonder about, you know, what would if they decide to, you know, start bringing Pokemon games to the Switch, what would that mean for the future of Pokemon with like the 3DS or versus the Switch, you know? Because are they going to keep making, you know, portable consoles like this, but, you know, the Switch is
sort of a hybrid, you know, it's supposed to occupy the space of a portable console and a home console.
And so now, like, you know, if they're going to start developing games for that, does that mean that we're going to start seeing less Pokemon games coming out for the 3DS and more for the Switch? Because of
I would assume so, honestly. Like, I would assume that if they're so there's sort of two options, right?
Yeah.
If Stars happens as rumored, and it's released on the Switch and it's not released on the 3DS, then I think that sort of like sets a precedent that moving forward, any like future like main installment or like remake series are going to be on the Switch, because I don't see them like moving backwards. And it also just like as a business, I think it would be sort of a bad move unless there's a really negative like feedback from all of this. I don't see them like let's say they remake Diamond and Pearl in 2018 or something like that, you know. I do not see them releasing that on the 3DS, especially like since if they did remake, unless they make a new portable console, you know, like, which I think this is trying to occupy the space of both. So I would say
that's what I was thinking too, you know, with the
absolutely. I think it's like setting a precedent that moving forward, like, you will need a Switch to play these games.
But I just saw something else too, because like, what if, you know, they decide to develop copies for both the Switch and a 3DS?
Right. That's sort of like what I don't know how well I elaborated, but if they release Stars on the Switch and the 3DS, then I think moving forward there's, you know, sort of options to still release these games on the 3DS. But by time, like, I don't know, just because, so they released this 2016, right?
Yeah.
Typically, it's like a year and a half to 2 years before the release of a new game. The 3DS would be largely outdated by then, right? Just as a handheld, as a console in general.
Well, yeah, and even like just the updated, like the new 3DS XL, like what I have right now, you know, is starting to get a little bit behind because, you know, new hardware is coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Like when that's so my personal 3DS, the one I play just like games on for fun, is the old one, the old 3DS XL, and then the one I record with is the new 3DS XL.
Mm-hmm.
And even that one, sometimes you'll get into a double battle and like you will drop frames and lag no other. Especially like if you get if you get a bunch of Ubers, like it's just a bunch of big Pokemon in play, like your game's gonna lag.
Yeah, like triple battle Wailords, like you're no chance.
Exactly. Triple battle Wailord.
Dude, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
This is not something I've had experience with, but I will take your word for it.
I just saw some people doing an ORAS and it was crazy. But I know, it's just interesting because Nintendo made a really, really bold move moving forward here, because now the Switch being portable and a home console. It's interesting to see whether or not they're going to continue like making a 3DS successor, or if they decide, hey, the Switch is, our console that we're going to focus on now because we've now made that portable. So it'll be interesting to see how they do moving forward. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover in the discussion video, unless you got anything else, Vivid.
The only thing I want to say, like, that's off the top of my head, is in Stars, and this is just something that we briefly touched on before we started recording here. In Stars, can we get a number of Pokemon that have different evolutions, based on day and night? Because the fact that Rockruff is the only one, I mean, obviously they won't be version exclusive evolutions anymore because it'll be like a third game, you know, unless they don't create Stars and they create sort of two sequels like we mentioned earlier. Can we get Pokemon that have different day and night evolutions just based on that? Because it's really annoying that Rockruff is the only one that occupies that design space when it's a really cool feature.
I think so too.
That's more of a complaint than a question.
Well, I guess if we're gonna go along with that boat, in Stars, I would love to see more Alolan forms to different Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the idea.
I think we will record a sort of a top 5 what we want out of Stars should it be a thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah.
All right,
so we can talk more about this later, but that was my like sort of like ending complaint about Sun and Moon.
All right, well, I guess we're gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. So I guess one thing I just have to ask you, Vivid, is are you down for Pokemon Stars?
I'm down. I'm down to clown with Pokemon Stars, honestly, 100%.
All right, so that's the only question we needed answered in today's episode, or whatever we're gonna call this.
Today's discussion video.
Oh, I'm so not used to filming anything else. All right.
Absolutely.
To all you viewers out there, I guess in the comment section, let us know what your feelings are on this stuff we discussed today. If for some reason we're incorrect of what we said, and you want to correct us and you just hate us for the rest of our life, then you're more than welcome to do that, or you're allowed to make sure tell me what you guys want to see in Pokemon Stars, whether you think it's real or not, and maybe which new Alolan forms you would love to see if that was a possibility of happening. Also, remember, we are doing another collaborative project over on Vivid's channel. We're going to be recording a top 5, which will probably be out by the time this video is released, so make sure you guys go check that out as well, of things that we would like to see in Pokemon Stars, which we mentioned just here briefly. But with that, I think that's going to be everything.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I normally have this like sort of set outro. Like I haven't recorded anything with anyone else either, so I'm gonna let you outro it. But I'm just gonna say thank you so much for having me on here.
Of course.
Look forward to the video we record about what we want in Pokemon Stars, and also just kind of touching on what you said. If you disagree with us or you don't like what we said, leave a bunch of angry comments in the comment section down below so we can respond with less than 3 signs, because that's what I'm gonna do.
There you go. Exactly.
There we go.
But man, it's been a pleasure having you, Vivid. I hope we can collaborate some more in the future as well. But that's going to be everything. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this discussion video, make sure you smash that like button down below to show your support for the channel, as well as hit the subscribe button for not only my channel, but also go subscribe to Vivid, because he is an amazing guy. If you guys want to keep updated on our videos and more Pokemon information, maybe in the future. But without further ado, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
Bye.